Hi, it's Clark, your real estate advocate. Welcome to Wednesday Wisdom, the 12th edition. Today our topic is the big slowdown. Are we still in a correction mode, or perhaps are we entering a period of stagnation? When you look at the results for the real estate results for Diablo Valley for the month of September and comparing them on a month-over-month basis, we had a 3% decrease in the number of active listings, but we had a 1% increase in the number of homes sold and a 0.4% increase in the median selling price. So we do have stability, more stability than we had in the previous 4 months of the correction. And perhaps we've reached a stasis point in the relationship between sales to listings. But we also are experiencing a big slowdown. Now, some of that is to be expected because we are now entering the fourth quarter, which is the least active of our 4 quarters. So that is having an impact. But there is also another big impact that I call crisis psychosis. We have a number of crises that we're confronted with today that is causing some concern, and that's only natural. We have an economic crisis with the Federal Reserve continuing to raise interest rates to fight inflation, and raising those interest rates increases the cost of borrowing. Talking about inflation, inflation is strong, and particularly in food, shelter, and necessities. And that is raising the cost of living, which is affecting all of us. Then we have the situation where there is debate over whether we're in a recession or not yet in a recession, or are we headed for a recession. So all of that is unsettling to the consumer. It is an economic problem that we're faced with. But on top of that, we also have a climate crisis. We have a crisis in health and safety with elevated levels of crime, gun violence, and opioid addiction. We have an election that's coming up in a month that creates a lot of partisan bickering, which is not, it's a little unsettling, it's not inspiring. And then we have the war in Ukraine, and that is reaching a point where there could be an escalation of the conflict, particularly when we have the president who is saying that there is the possibility of a nuclear Armageddon, similar to what we faced in 1962 in the Cuban Missile Crisis, long before most of you were born. And so we have these crises that we're confronted with that is causing a lot of uncertainty. The panacea for this basically is we really need to tame inflation, bring it back to the standards that are acceptable, and then see if the strong housing market, the underlying strength of the housing market will prevail. And when I talk about the underlying strength of the housing market, I'm talking about the fact that there's over $3 trillion of equity that collectively that homeowners in this country have. There's an all-time low in the number of mortgage defaults. The quality of our loans is better than it's been in a long time. And we have the millennial generation reaching home buying and decisions. And so that underlying housing market is very strong. We are not going to have a collapse in the housing market. So basically, as I look at it for the future, it looks like we're going to have a little delay before we achieve a balanced market. And I don't expect us to begin to see heading in the direction with statistics that support it, that we're beginning to reach a balanced market. I don't expect that will happen until probably the second quarter of next year. But actually, when you look at it, this is really not a bad time to be in the housing market. I like to equate it with the investment strategy of so many successful people who say that the time to buy is when everybody's selling, the time to sell is when everybody's buying. It's the contrarian point of investing. So right now, there are opportunities for you to get involved in the real estate market. The market will support it. It's just that you need to adjust your expectations some, and then you need to seek the guidance and advice of a professional realtor to be able to develop a plan and a strategy that's realistic, that will help you achieve your goal. If you would like to have a conversation on this, I would love to talk with you about it. I'd like to show you what I can do for you in terms of creating an opportunity right now where you will have an advantage. And I always say that if you have a 5-year time horizon and a commitment to the home you buy, the home you live in, whatever, in California real estate, over 75 years of history says that you will not lose money. You will actually increase your wealth, you'll have more equity, and hopefully you'll have a very enjoyable life. Thank you so much.